This conference will now be recorded.
Ready? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. July 26, 2022, the Mitchell County Courthouse. We have our regular board meeting at 8:30 a.m. We have an agenda in front of us. Look at it. The motion and a second to approve the agenda. Approve. Second. I'll second. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 2, approve the minutes of the July 19th meeting and claims. Corrections? Any of that? So we need a motion to approve in a second.
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mark, you have a motion to approve the minutes and claims.
I will second.
Steve, that seconded. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Item 3, county attorney general discussion. Morning, Aaron.
Good morning. I think I forwarded to you last week. I did get that opioid settlement email, that we talked about setting up the portal. I got that. Me or Rachel or somebody, one of us is gonna set it up. And the reason I say me or Rachel, she's gonna have to probably help through it anyway, because I assume there's probably gonna be certain information in there that has to be entered, county information that she's probably gonna know. But anyway, I'm not trying to dump it off on her. I mean, she's the auditor, and so, like I had a discussion with one or two of you, maybe she ought to be doing it, just to keep things, something. I'm not going to do anything nefarious, but you know what I mean. Some people might say, well, that's for the auditor. So anyway, we'll get that figured out. Just want to let you know that I did get it. I didn't want to mess it. So got that. Another thing is it's on the agenda, so I'm not going to talk much about it now, but there's something on there, I think, about a tax abatement, city tax abatement or something. That's probably not anything that's going to need action taken on. I guess I can discuss it now because you're going to cover it later anyway. But the reason that came up is I got an email from the city attorney one day asking a question whether I thought, and he had kind of an explanation of what the city had done to get title to some property, and I read it, but I didn't spend much time on it. He was asking whether I thought the city should get taxes abated. I think I recalled, and I said, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look at, I don't know. I said, maybe, I don't know, you could have it put on the agenda and maybe the supervisors can talk about it. So I think I may have told Rachel that I got that email. So anyway, it's on the agenda, but I think it's, I talked with Shannon and with Amy, and
This conference will now be recorded.
You can start.
Anyway, I got the, and Shannon pointed out to me, she said, well, Aaron, it looks like that property's already got tax sale certificates on it. And I'm like, oh yeah. And Brian's email did reference that. I just read it so quick. Anyway, I think probably the only reason that's on the agenda is because I passed on a message that the city attorney was wondering about something. But I think in the end, it's probably not something, I guess the question was whether the city was wondering whether the supervisors would be willing to abate the taxes because they got abandoned property, and there's a provision that says supervisors shall abate taxes under certain circumstances. Long and short of it is, I don't think this is one of those situations. I don't know if Shannon or Amy will be here or not, but they can just throw more information on it. But anyway, that's, in case you're wondering why that's on there, just because a question came up. But now looking at it, I'm like, oh, I don't think any of that matters anyway. And probably what I'm going to tell them to fail, unless they hear otherwise, is, look, Brian, I think there are certain procedures you have to follow. You're the city attorney, you do it.
Okay. So
Makes sense?
You're thinking that we can't abate the taxes because there's tax.
Well, I don't know whether you can or you can't. I'm not saying you cannot. I think maybe, and this is where it gets, you know, and if I'd read it more closely, I would have seen at the time that there were tax sale certificates on there, but I didn't. Because I was looking at it as, the city just got title of this abandoned property and they're wanting the supervisors to abate the taxes. Well, they can do that, but I don't know if they want to or not. You'll have to ask them. Well, and then I don't think I contacted Shannon, but somebody must have. Anyway, she corresponded back and forth with me. She said, well, there's tax sale certificates on it. You know, she's like, so it gets a lot messier to abate the taxes because you got somebody that's already drawing interest on it. I think there is kind of a procedure where if there's a court order, taxes can be abated, but then the tax sale has to be all back. You know, you have to back it up, right? Because you got a person out there who's got an interest in it now. And so to abate it would probably take a court process. And even if that was done, it would be, I think, a paperwork nightmare to do it. One of the emails that Shannon or Amy sent to me, you know, they referenced the fact that I think there is just a procedure that a city or a person can do that doesn't necessarily involve the supervisor or anybody. In other words, I don't have it in front of me, but you know, the city.
Because there's property that goes to tax sales that we have nothing to do with.
Well, right. I mean, and
you're on that road or not?
Yeah, your only role would be if you wanted to abate the taxes. But like I said, that was, now that it's gone to tax sale. And if I'd have read that more closely, I'd have seen that. See, but I didn't see that. If I'd seen that at the time, which it was right in Brian's email, I just was in a hurry. I'd have never said, I'd have said, well, Brian, there's tax sale. But I didn't see that part. So I said, well, I don't know. You can ask the supervisor. Because I was thinking it was like a situation like, hey, maybe me, Aaron Murphy, thought maybe you supervisors out of the goodness of your heart might want to just abate all my property taxes, which you know you wouldn't do obviously. But there are certain circumstances that come up where you may abate somebody's property taxes, and I kind of thought that's what we were looking at. But it's like, no, that is what the city would be asking. But since there's already those tax sale certificates on it, really makes it a nightmare, right? You have to back everything up.
Yeah.
So,
how much money is he talking?
oh, what is it, $3,000 or I think it's about $3,000 or something like that. I'm not absolutely positive. And Rachel's probably been in on it. She's got, if I've said something that, if I'm misunderstanding something, you know, like somebody pointed out because it's.
So the building box worth more than that, so.
Yeah.
There's $674 a year, but that we're talking a number of years then, is that the deal?
Yeah,
Must be, yeah.
a couple of
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, that's how that got.
All right.
I believe that's how that got put on there. I think I might have asked for it to be put on there, you know, because I was passing on the question. But anyway,
You answered my
So
question.
you can say, don't abate it because it's,
Let nature take its course. It's gotta be messy.
very messy, so.
well, I think like you said, you kind of let nature take its course. I mean, there's a process. It's like, and if the city thinks there's some special thing, then I guess they can bring it up, right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to bring, you know, in case you're all wondering, you know, what's this about? Well, because I got that email from McPhail and I thought, well, I'll pass it along. And then upon further reading, I'm like, yeah, well, there's Shannon, so she'll probably have. I'm just confident when that comes up, you
Okay.
probably explain it better than I just did.
Okay.
I'm confident you can. So anyway, all right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, item 4 is sheriff update, and I don't see him here, so he's probably busy. Item 5, department head discussion.
I've got a few. One where you have that silent auction tomorrow. I didn't know if any of the supervisors wanted to contribute an hour to help cover that.
I can in the afternoon. That helps.
I'm here in the morning.
We had a mileage claim turned in for conservation. It's a certain dollar amount. It's for can mileage. It says May, June, and half of July. Typically when we get in mileage, it says at least where they went, so we can verify the dollar amount. It's just $100 flat. I don't know, am I supposed to pay that, or should I ask for proof of mileage?
Ask for proof.
I think you need itemized like everybody else. Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Yep. Pretty strange to come up to an even $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I thought. And then I was asked a question about being the alternate for your guys' boards, and Aaron will probably need to help me. If you're the alternate, from my understanding, because they were appointed in January, that they were the alternate per board, they still get to vote on those boards. Correct. So let's say Todd's at a meeting, he has 2 meetings, so he can't go that day. So Mark fills in. Does Mark get a vote on his board?
I believe so. But
That's your question.
That answers that question.
But, you know,
So I'm assuming we're talking about the Board of Health.
I don't know.
So Steve came for,
Yeah, I had another meeting in Eldora.
Yeah.
In 2 places.
Steve came for Mike, so we didn't think he could vote since he was not the appointed.
Yeah, but there
I
are,
am the appointed alternate for this through the board of supervisors.
We all have appointed alternates.
When we go through our committees at the beginning of the year, we all agreed that there will be somebody to represent the county supervisors if the one that's on that committee can't make it. I guess we never talked about that, but I would guess when I have an alternate, I usually try and give them a little heads up what's going on. So I just kind of feel they should be able to vote.
my understanding, I mean, I can look into this more if need be, but, and like I said, I don't know what the underlying issue is, and not really, I'm just from a legal perspective. I think it's fairly common to have the alternate type procedures like you do because people can't be 2 places at once, right? So it's not that different than, say, in a private setting where maybe it's a business setting, a corporate setting, and somebody gives somebody the right by proxy, right? I can't be there, so I'm, you know, in fact, it happens all the time in the corporate world. In fact, if you own individual stocks or anything, a lot of times you'll notice you get in the mail, you'll get materials for voting for the board of directors or maybe certain corporate issues. And then, of course, it's a packet about that thick, and you're always like, what am I supposed to do with this? But then there's always a letter on top that says, oh, hey, and if you trust us to make the decision for you, we'll vote by proxy, and then you kind of check a box and send it in. It's kind of a similar circumstance I think we're talking about here. It sounds like, the procedure is put in place where everybody's already agreed the way it's going to work, right? That you guys have designated somebody as the alternate. So I think that person can vote.
That's
I
good to
guess-
know, because I didn't realize you were an alternate. So because when I report to the state, I'll have to report your name to the state then too as an alternate.
The thing is when it was brought up, the question of whether we had a quorum or not, that's when I stated that I was the
Right.
alternate and I was shut down. Well, when it comes to the point whether you have a quorum or not, it's nice to make sure that, but hopefully Mike's at the next meetings and I don't have to come because I'd rather Mike be there. But I'm looking at it like this. I was another person for a quorum. As far as any voting, you didn't have anything,
There was nothing really.
you know, but what I'm stating is you needed a quorum. I was the body, but I was shut down. And I wanted that to be in the future where the alternate can be that quorum member in the event that you don't have a quorum, not another meeting. So,
That's
thank you.
I was at the public health meeting also, but just there as a guest to invite these gals to come to our meeting. Not just because I'm a supervisor, does not mean that I'm part of that quorum. Steve was the alt. I was just there.
Right.
Yeah.
Shorts and all.
The supervisor 5 has 4 as an alternate. We all step down one spot.
But you
To be
really
the
want
alternate.
your main person to be there, but in the event that the alternate has to come, he does help give you a quorum.
I gave you the Eldora option.
This was closer.
All right.
I just had we got an email from another individual who was concerned about the master matrix, supervisors did, and I just letting everybody know I replied to that individual, never received a reply back from that, so, but I just wanted to let you know I followed through on that, so.
Okay. I think more of us did too.
Is that
It came to everybody.
It came to everybody.
And I sent one back to her.
Okay, all right.
And she thanked, I didn't know if anybody did, but I just reached out to her and she thanked me for reaching out and
I didn't get a thanks.
You must
that,
Content must have
you know, the DNR is, both the ones that contacted me, I put in there that they meet the matrix and we, you know, it's a tough question in the DNR and that got both. Thanks for checking in. I can tell that DNR is tough to deal with or something. So, oh yeah, she came back with a pretty nice one.
Is this the first one, or is this just the one we just got?
Just the last one we got.
Okay, yeah.
But I do see this morning, I quick on, I haven't read it. I did get another one from her, so I don't know what that one's about.
Okay, well, yes.
Just want to let you know that the elderly and disabled property tax credit, those deadlines are normally June 1st. The treasurer has the option to open it until September 30th.
Okay.
So I have officially posted that we are keeping it open to September 30th. It's for that 70-year-olds. They added the change. It used to be, you had to be 65 or older and income below 24,000 something, or currently disabled. And last year, the legislature added another level if you're over 70, but you have a little bit higher income, your property taxes can be frozen at age 70. So I did open it up. So when the tax statements come out again, if someone's upset about their taxes and want to know if there's any help, if they meet that criteria, I'm keeping it open till September 30th. So just so you guys are aware of that. And if it's after September 30th, still direct them to me, because the Department of Revenue gives us the option to help people apply directly to the Department of Revenue to get that reimbursed to them. So
Okay.
there are a lot of options for the elderly for tax help, property taxes.
Well, that's nice to look through it.
Yep.
Thank you, Shannon.
So when people do that, is there a reimbursement for the county or no?
For the elderly and disabled, yes.
Yes.
For the
Okay.
65 or older. For the age 70, as you probably all are aware, legislatively it was passed and then they got to figure out if they're going to pay us or not.
Okay.
They're saying the last treasurer's conference, there really isn't a mechanism for it yet.
Okay.
But hopefully there will be.
Maybe not. Okay, that's nice. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anything else on department head discussion? Hearing none, move on to item 6, county engineer update.
Morning.
Morning, Rich.
Morning, Ray. Couple updates.
Hickory, I think they're gonna try to paint that this week. I mean, most people are in and out of it now. The dirt work's done. I had the erosion control people in this morning and naturally the grass started growing on its own. So they're trying to figure out whether we need to put silt fence in, and I don't know
violating any DNR stuff. So we're working on a maybe a little bit more cheaper ditch check option than running silt fence for 4,000 feet. So we can cut a little cost there and still cover what we need to cover for that. I think the contractor, Nick Hartland, is going to be in today to finish the shoulder widening in Kirkwood, and then it'll still be a week or two before they come back and start doing the first lift. We've got some change order stuff to get out with them yet, so I'm still working on that. And then next week, I'll bring you guys a contract from final design on the 105 bridge, so we can get that final out, trying to design, get that going, so we can get that let here in, I think, November, December. I think we're gonna try to get the letting for construction next year. So, and then I guess on the agenda is the SS4A grant application. What that is the IIJA bill, the new bill from the government had $1 billion in safety funds over the next 5 years. And in order for anybody to get any funding for safety improvements on roads and streets, you have to have a safety action plan. 54 of 99 counties have a safety action plan, but those 54 don't have a safety action plan that qualifies. So the County Engineers Association is working on putting together a safety action plan for all 99 counties so that we would qualify for funding. If we have anything we can try to use to capture some money to make safer roads, reduce accidents, things like that. So in order to do that, the board's got to say we want a safety action plan, and that's what the resolution is for you guys to say we want a safety action plan for the county. Safety action plans should be followed once we have them, which isn't always a bad thing. But we still, if we want to do this grant money, we'd have to qualify and have a plan, or we would lose out on any options whatsoever. Right now, the plan is that it would not cost counties any money to create this safety action plan. If we were to go out and do a safety action plan on our own, it costs us anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. So why not try to utilize it? And I think part of this bill is you can use this IIJA money for, one, creating safety plans, and two, doing projects. Well, we're going to start out with step one with this County Engineers Association. We're going to get everybody a safety action plan. And once we have that, that'll be using, I think 80% federal money they're going to use to create the plans. And then I think there's 20%, which is going to be HSIP money, which is kind of regional money. So it won't cost the counties anything directly. And so we'll all have, all 99 counties will have a safety action plan. Hopefully it won't cost us a dime. Once we have our plan, then we can start qualifying or start creating projects or finding projects that could qualify for some of this money. Whether they're 100% grant match, I don't know, but we'll at least be able to, if we have something we can actually qualify for partial funding. Probably usually federal money is 80%, but I don't know what those numbers are. But if we don't have a plan, we can't qualify for any of the money. So what we're trying to do is get all 99, what the service of the County Engineers Association is trying to do is get all 99 counties on board to get it so that we can grab as much federal money as we can. So that's what we're asking for. That's what I'm asking for, is that we have a resolution to have this.
And what is the name of your organization?
It's the Iowa County Engineers Association.
Iowa County.
Just curious if we can be locked into doing
So,
projects like guardrail
well,
all over the county, or lowered speed limits, or,
yeah, and that's,
not that I don't want to do it, but
Right.
sometimes
Well,
we have some things that are.
and so maybe we're locked into some of that stuff, but if there's grant money to do it, we can do some of that stuff. Knowing the money after 5 years is out. So the biggest question is, and I'll read this from our email, is there's been previous concerns raised by some about developing safety action plans and then not following them, thus creating liability. And then per section 23 USC 409 US Code section 409, discovery and admission as evidence of certain reports and surveys, which states that safety action plans are not subject to discovery or admitted into evidence in federal or state court proceedings. That's your lawyer jargon. I don't know really what that means, other than we have a safety plan, we try to follow it to our best ability, but sometimes dollars and cents don't. If I understand it right, we do a lot of things with design, and sometimes we get design exceptions because sometimes it's not effective cost-wise for us to put that kind of money towards some things. And I think that's probably what they're stating, is in most projects we would try to do the best we could at increasing safety, but there are going to be times where putting a new guardrail is more expensive than the fact that we've had 0 accidents there or something like that. So you do a cost benefit analysis on that kind of stuff. So I think that's how it reads.
I think, and then I was checking some email. I didn't hear everything you said, but I got the gist of it, I think. And it's basically, you know, what you call CYA, like,
Right.
we all do it to protect ourselves from what we think are frivolous lawsuits.
Right.
You feel like you're saying, it's kind of a fancy way of saying, okay, I know what my duty is, and I'm going to do my best to do this, but once in a while, this may happen and I can't.
Right.
Kind of like attorney language, that was some, but my opinion is,
Yeah.
I think, but I'm not really sure. It's
Or
that kind of,
engineering judgment says.
yeah, it's kind of that language.
So, and I know that in the past, the boards, both counties that I work in, have been a little bit shy on wanting policy. Because once you have policy, you have to follow policy typically. And so then it kind of locks you into doing things that most people want to have, well, we want to do it case by case basis. Well, I'll tell you, that makes it difficult for us to try to design case by case, because then one person gets something that one doesn't. So anyway,
You don't know what's gonna all be in the policy either, correct?
no, they're still developing it, but I'm sure it's basically, I think I didn't print out the resolution, but it said something about reducing accidents to, you know, trying to zero out accidents, reduce them by 2030 and 2050 respectively. You know, just ways to increase roadway safety, you know, whether it be, you know, I think in some instances, and I don't think we have many here, but if you had a highway that had tight curves in it, and we had a lot of accidents on these tight curves, we would probably try to put a fund together or a project that's saying we want to buy right away and soften these curves so we can better serve the public and have less accidents. Or if we have, you know, we don't have very many locations where we have a high incidence of accidents, even fatal accidents. You know, there are some places that have really bad locations, and they would do anything they could. I would throw out an example, maybe that, you know, everybody's aware that between, I don't know, it's between San Ansgar and mainly, they did some shoulder widening out on Highway 9.
Yeah.
And when I talked to the DOT about whether they were going to repave the road, well, no, that was just a safety thing. So they paved the shoulders due to safety. So projects like that qualify for safety funds. Now, it's not saying that they use that because they aren't eligible for this money, but that's things like that, whether we pave a shoulder because we're always maintaining shoulders, or there's accidents in locations because of shoulders, or we might have sections of road that might have steeper foreslopes than we really want to have. And if we show the data shows that we've got more accidents that are severe because of that, maybe we put a project together and we redo our foreslopes, you know, things like that.
Okay.
Ways to improve the safety of the roads.
We don't have any problem areas, so maybe it won't affect us that much,
Well,
right?
and if we do, let's go for the money that they're going to offer us.
Okay, now, I move to make a motion to approve resolution 1139-220 for a safety action plan.
Steve's made a motion. Mark will second that. Any further discussion on this?
I'm absolutely for it whenever we can get that kind of money. I just think when you're talking that, you know, I just don't want to be in the federal hands that we have to, you know, I'd like to make sure you keep an eye on, because they said the speed limit's got to go
No.
from 55 to 50, about a, you know.
They would, in an instance like that, they would say, you know, if we've got a place where there's a speeding problem, they would say part of our safety action plan would be, and this is what I'm thinking it would say is, we would do a speed analysis, a speed study there, and we would determine, in order for us to get the money to do whatever, if we change signs, that's totally different. But if there's a vertical curve in the roadway that's causing some problems and we need to drop that, you know, we're gonna need to cut down that hill for better sight distance, and that's going to be $500,000 to do that. We would go through the study process and say, this is warranted because of this study, and this is why we need the money. It wouldn't be that they would tell us how we would have to do it. It would be, you want our money, you prove to us you need it. And if it follows the guidelines in your safety action plan to say, hey, we're going to go around the county and look and see where we've got vertical curves that are terrible, we're going to do what we say we're going to do in order to get this money. Or in a design situation, it might be, hey, look, this vertical curve is bad. When we redo this road, we have to take a look at this and say, okay, well, the cost benefit ratio isn't really, first of all, we don't have enough accidents to warrant that we need to bring the curve down for site visibility or anything like that. So we probably wouldn't have to, but just gives us the option to go after that federal money if we still choose to. And by still watching the safety action plan and saying, well, here's our plan. I don't know what it's going to say in the plan, whether it says, okay, based on this, this, and this, but also based on existing cost benefit analysis, we wouldn't need to do it or whatever. I just don't know what the plan is going to read yet. So we're just saying right now we want to be part of the action plan development, and whether they come out with it, I don't know if there's another action we'll have to take to actually accept it or not, but they want to get it going and make sure that all the counties are on board with it.
Okay. Motion and a second, and
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Then Tom Lander, he has that driveway or two he wants taken out. One of them has a new culvert in. He's wondering if they can dig beside it so he can keep it. When they take it out.
I don't know if we're going to be doing a lot of digging out there, so if he
Well,
wants
they
to
know
take,
it's removing a driveway.
he wants to take the driveway out.
Yeah, he wants, remember I told you, he had a driveway or two he wanted out.
Yeah, but was he expecting us to take it out, or he was going to take it out himself?
No, I think, weren't you guys gonna take them out?
Well, if we were doing something as part of the project, the dirt work's been cut down quite a bit. We might not need to take anything out.
Oh, okay.
These driveways that were subjected to that were, hey, if they need dirt work, here's some driveways you can take out and get the dirt from. I don't know that we'll need it or not.
Okay, so I thought Patterson's had some too.
They did, but I don't know that we're gonna need to take anything out as part of the project.
Okay.
That was, the point was, hey, if you guys need extra dirt for shoulders or whatever else, you can take these driveways out, the dirt's already here. You can do that. We're not gonna take driveways out as part of the project. So
Just
if we don't need the material, we won't take anything out.
Okay.
If they want to take the driveway out themselves and utilize it, they can, if Tom wants to take a driveway out and do whatever, he can take his driveway.
I thought driveways that weren't used were coming out.
Well,
Maybe.
not particularly, no. I mean, it was just an option for us to say, hey, look, when the pre-con comes up, let them know that these driveways are available to be removed.
Okay.
To, number one, make the ditches better, number two, for material. So we may not need it at all.
Okay, I didn't, I guess
I
I thought it,
before the pre-construction meeting, we were thinking the same thing, that we were gonna meet after the pre-construction. The contractor had some different ideas on how to do the work, so.
Okay.
But if there is material there, we'll hold me up,
Okay.
Yeah.
If he takes the driveway out, he's gonna have to dig along four slope in a safe manner.
Yeah,
Not
not just chop it off.
Yeah. I guess.
And you can have,
like I said,
you can have him call me too, and you
Okay.
can get with any, I thought I had his phone number, and I didn't the last time you and I talked, so.
Okay, I can, because he called me again on it.
Yeah, why don't you give me his number, and I can talk to him.
I'll text it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Then, did you look at 500 Street off Rampart? Wonder if the guy thought that.
Yeah, we had done some, actually, by the time I got there, we had done some spotting there.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
And that box culvert's that little bridge box, whatever, it's like a 2x2 concrete box culvert. It's in good shape, it's just narrow there, but
Yeah.
we'll get it in due time.
I think the gravel was more of a.
Yeah, it was, the gravel was thin out there, but it wasn't, I didn't think it was excessively thin. We had already thrown some spots.
You already had.
So I don't know if there was just one spot that was bad or not, but it'll probably be on the rock. I don't think it was on the rock run this year, but I think it'll probably end up being on the rock run next year.
Because he said the blade operator does a good job. He's happy.
Okay, good.
He just
Shouldn't hear that.
said he didn't have a lot to work with.
Yeah, there's not a lot to work with on some of those spots, but we'll spot stuff if we need to. And they had that day I went out there, they'd already dumped some out there. I don't even know if they probably didn't even know about it already. They just know that there's spots they need to. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just told him I'd follow up, let him know. Okay. All right.
That's all I've got for you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, public health, home health update.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for the invitation, Jim, for letting us come. So we're gonna give a home health, public health update. We'll plan on coming after every board of supervisors meeting or board of health meeting to give an update of what we've given at our health meeting. And unless it's busier, we can come more often too. So I'll have Jessica start and give a public health update.
All right, so I'm basically gonna go over the things that I went over at our meeting, just to keep you guys informed of what's going on public health wise. So CPR I have instructed some BLS classes and had a couple of OSHA approved CPR classes. I went to Pinnakin and gave 20 individuals CPR first aid classes. In August, I will be instructing classes for Faith Home employees and 2 classes for the Sheriff's Office, and then working on classes for CUSD, the bank here in Osage. Planning to have a booth at the fair. We are doing blood pressures for anyone interested, lots of public health education, and we'll have home health services offered. We are going to do a free drawing or a drawing giveaway for people can sign up if they've done blood pressures, done our survey, and we're going to have weather radios that we received for a free drawing for those individuals. And then we'll have games focused on public health stuff for kids as well. Beginning of August, excuse me, next week, we're doing a blood pressure. Heartland offered or asked us if we would come and give it. They have an appreciation August 1st, and so we'll be doing blood pressures at their appreciation for anyone that comes to that. So middle of September, we are doing a children's fair at the CRC. This is for the 3rd graders for all schools. So they'll be coming in. There's lots of little stations. We're partnering with the hospital with it, and then lots of other individuals will be there doing a children's fair, and we'll be presenting on a public health topic for those kids as well. We did receive our smart board that we got through the grant, so that just came, or we received it a while ago, but it just got set up last week. So we're excited to start using that. So I believe that's our final big purchase from our IT grant that's finally set up and ready to go. So we do have that in our hands. It's pretty nice. It can transfer, so we can move it from our conference room to our office, so we can utilize it a lot too. It'll be great for our building. End of June, I put in an application for our staff through Iowa Healthcare Foundation. It's a COVID-19 recovery fund amount of $1,000. What we could use this amount on is tangible recognition gifts, staff training, and then $250 of it could use for PPE, which is personal protective equipment. So we purchased some gloves, as we always need gloves all the time. And then we are doing some recognition gifts for our staff just with the COVID-19 recovery and the stuff that they went through. So waiting for those to come in, but we did receive that from Iowa Healthcare Association, so you will probably see that as well. Opiate Settlement, briefly discussed this with them, letting them know that what came in front of us last week, and that we will be working with MCSAC. We do have a meeting tonight with them at 4 o'clock via Zoom. It's Zoom only, so it's not in person. So we did touch briefly on that and just discuss that that's available, and then see where we're going to go from there as well. Also, China survey, I'm sure I emailed all you guys about it, our community health needs assessment survey. So far, we've had about 500 individuals return the survey, which is a pretty good outcome. We'll continue to push that out. I'll have it at the fair, probably the end of July, or excuse me, end of August. I'll stop that survey. And at that time, we're going to see what our needs are, reflect what the community thinks our needs are, and then take it to our bigger surveys that are done throughout Iowa and see if it's really needed. Someone in the community may think that we need something when it's really not showing it too. So from there, we'll meet with stakeholders, different individuals, and throughout the whole community, throughout the whole county, and discuss what we can do to better these areas. And I put together a health improvement fund that we'll have to follow for the next 3 years. So some things that I've seen on this survey right now is mental health, concerns on mental health, concerns on cancer, concerns on access to childcare, immunization, and public drinking water are some concerns that the whole community, or the whole county, excuse me, feels that are concerns in this area. So we'll be working more on that. I will keep you guys updated as we go, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will be involved in our stakeholder meetings to see what our plan is to go forward to. COVID-19 update. This came out several weeks ago. We're now allowed to vaccinate anyone 6 months and older. So they do have Pfizer and Moderna available to vaccinate those young children. And so that's being pushed out there. There's also a new vaccine, a Novavax, which is a lot like the mRNA, so the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. 2 doses given, 3 to 8 weeks apart. The difference between those is that this Novavax is a protein vaccine. So it's a lot like your hepatitis B, your HPV vaccines. It's a protein based, not an mRNA. So that has now become available. I was just able to order some yesterday, so we should be getting in some next week if there's others interested that did not want the mRNA vaccine. That Novavax is available to get down. Cases have been pretty quiet with COVID-19. Last week I had very minimal over the weekend, and to today we've probably had about 10 cases, and these are just reportable cases I'm aware of. People who test at home, that's fine. They don't need to call into us or anything, but I'm not aware of those cases. It's just those that get taken at any hospital, any clinic, are the ones that I'm reported on. Epidemiology update. In the last 5 weeks, it's been pretty busy. Lots of disease investigations. So there's certain disease investigations, if someone gets diagnosed with, it is required to be reportable. So some diseases we've had in Mitchell County, we've had a couple crypto cases, 6 Campy, 1 Salmonella, and 2 E. coli cases that I have to follow up with each individual. Our goal is to find that source of where they got this, and hopefully we can eliminate it, or hopefully we can, let's say if it's a water, we can treat that water or that lake. Let's say it's a certain food that they bought at a grocery store, put out a recall for that, those types of things. So been very busy with that. And usually summertime is my busiest time just because you see a lot more people swimming. Fresh fruits, vegetables is a huge concern as well too. So monkeypox, I'm sure you guys have heard that. Not a lot has come out about it. We are getting more webinars and stuff on it. But as of last week, there's been 1,814 cases identified in the US, 3 in Iowa and 1 as close as Cerro Gordo. We primarily see it in gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men. However, anyone that has contact with those individuals or as a close contact can get monkeypox as well. There is a vaccine for it, but we're just not having people line up at the door for it. You have to be a close contact, and the CDC tells us who can have it and who can't. So I can't just, you've been a close contact, you can have it. It has to come directly from the CDC in order for me to give any type of vaccine for it. So we'll have more information on that this week, actually on Thursday. Have a big call with the state in regards of who's receiving vaccine and what we're going to do going forward, as we're seeing it more of a problem now in Iowa. I'm sure there'll be more increase of cases as well. Emergency preparedness, we have a grant with the state that our fiscal year started July 1. They're doing things a little different this year. Always years before, we could put in our grant work plan how much money we wanted, how much money we thought we were going to spend. This year, they're dividing it up between each county that's in our service area. And so Mitchell County will be receiving a little over $13,000. We don't have a lot of major purchases because through COVID, we got a lot more money to purchase bigger things for emergency preparedness to get us set up and ready to go. I have minor things, all my trainings that I give, CPR, bloodborne pathogens, and just minor purchases just to keep like our AEDs up to date, those types of things we'll be purchasing with this. A lot of it will be reimbursed for my time. We did have our grant coordinator here last week to go over that. I will be submitting a work plan. It's due, I think, the middle of September. So just working on that, seeing what we need for the next year. I am attending a trauma and preparedness training in September in Des Moines, and this grant pays for it, but that's just kind of prepares us for future as well too. So immunizations, fiscal year started in July. We do receive, I think, around $8,080 we get yearly for this, and this goes for any type of immunizations, my time, anything spent in the immunization clinic, those types of things. I have completed the BFC enrollment form, and it is submitted to the state so we can continue to give BFC vaccines. So BFC vaccines are vaccines for children. It gives those individuals who are uninsured, no insurance, those on Medicaid, access for basically a free vaccine. And just so we can keep them vaccinated, because those individuals don't have a lot of money or resources for that. So we are part of this BFC plan. And I do see a lot of individuals, usually uninsured individuals, that we do get vaccines for. I also completed our annual immunization report and for Mitchell County. So this isn't just for public health. This is for any kid that lives in Mitchell County that has got vaccines, whether it be to the clinic here, went to Mason. I have to submit a report every year for our grant. So our end of the year report I just submitted. I do want to go over it a little bit with you guys. There's a couple of concerns that I had, and this is why we need to promote these and give these vaccines. This is why there's a concern just with our decrease in vaccines. I'm not sure why there's been such a decrease in vaccines. Is it due to COVID and people not going into the clinics as much? Where are we seeing that at? So our age 24 months of children that live in Mitchell County receiving their immunizations. So by the time they turn 24 months, you should have a certain amount of vaccines. We went from in 2021 to 70% down to 63%, and our national goal is 90%. So we're sitting about 30% below that national goal, which is, it's not good. So we need to promote those more. We need to make sure children are getting in for their well checks and getting those vaccines as well. Another concern, the other ones, they look at adolescents vaccines, and those look pretty good. Seen a couple percent decrease or a couple percent increase, so nothing major. Another one that concerned me, I was actually, Laura and I were both surprised by, was the influenza. We've given more flu shots last year than we have ever with public health, a little over 1,500 flu shots last year. So I thought this number was going to increase.
And I feel like we gave a lot of flu vaccines to people who had never gotten their flu vaccine before. So yeah, we were extremely surprised with that number.
And so the first group we look at is 0 to 6 year olds. And so we go from, in 2021, it was 37%, and now we're down to 28% in 2022. We do go into the schools and offer flu shots through the school, so we are right in there partnering. We have our flu clinics we offer all the time, people to drive through, and those types of things. You know, we've talked about next year, maybe we just focus more around it instead of a full drive-through, a kid drive-through, you know, the ages of 0 to 18 and or coming into our office, more focused on those appointments as well too. So we have some planning to do. For 7 to 18 years, it was 27% in 2021. It dropped down to 19% in 2022. We did have a slight increase in the adults. We were at 30% in 2021 and at 31% in 2022. So just some work that we need to do, just because we do get reimbursed for this. And I have to do this annual report every year. This is why I travel and give vaccines, why we do the clinics, the flu clinics, why I go to businesses to give these vaccines as well too, because it helps our community out as well, our county out as well. So
the adults is only 31%.
Yes.
Is that countywide?
Yep. So, you know, some concerns I have with this too, do people, we're so close to Rochester, Minnesota border. We have an iris that all of our vaccines get put into, so, and then it calculates what it is. So my data is only coming from iris. What happens in Minnesota, they don't have connection to the Iowa immunization database. So they're not putting them in necessarily, but then.
So maybe people are going other places.
Yeah, they very well could be, but you're wondering where that gap is. I know I need to give nursing homes education because a lot of them do. I go into quite a few nursing homes and give them, but some give them on their own, and their data is not being put into the database. Yeah. So they need to be adding that as well too. So lots of education this in the next couple months of making sure that data gets put in there because it does reflect our numbers.
Yeah. I believe VA and Hy-Vee do not do it there either. So yeah, to kind of piggyback off of her, this is why we do go out to the communities and don't have people just come to us. We need to make this access for these vaccines available.
I know some of the elderly people like that. The elderly dose.
Yeah.
That you didn't offer. So I know there's some people
that high dose.
Other places.
Yes.
People go other places because they want that.
Yep. And they usually, the clinic, I know last year they had minimal doses on it, but they do offer it there. So we always have resources for them to go if they do want that high dose as well. So
I just know some elderly people that want the IV.
Yep. Yeah.
Because they want the high dose.
And so it's conversations that I'll be reaching out to the nursing homes, to Hy-Vees around our area, and just having that discussion of inputting an iris. They all have the capabilities of doing it. Do they need the education? I will give them that education to put it in.
You guys get the high dose this year? Or not?
We will not get the high dose. No. No.
Because nursing homes, it's really encouraged to do that.
And not everyone, you know, it's, they don't always recommend the high dose for all individuals either. We see a lot of it usually immunocompromised, someone that has gone through, chemo or going through that, who had a transplant, those types of things where they need that. The regular dose will be just as effective as a high dose, unless you've gone through things like that too. So, yeah.
So you said you need to get the word out about vaccines, but how do you promote that? I mean,
So
ideas.
our main population is that we see a lack in is usually the Mennonite Amish population. And so I have several good connections with certain Mennonite Amish populations or individuals that feel comfortable with me going into their home. So whether I just have forums with them in their homes and going out and communicating with them and having them pass that word around, going into the schools, talking to them about that, and then just either promoting it through a lot of social media, through the papers. We will be collaborating with the hospital as well on that, and just making sure that, sending out reminders. We send out reminders twice a year to get vaccines. So we pull it all through and we send out postcards for the people we get vaccines to. So having the hospital or clinic jump on board, send those reminders out when they're due for their well check or due for vaccines, those individuals that they see. So it'll be a collaboration, it'll be a partnership. And I feel like that's probably going to be something on our health improvement plan. And so then that's where that collaboration will come through and what we can do to better that. So I'll continue my traveling, I'll continue promoting it and doing those things as best as I can. But I don't serve, I serve the whole county, I guess I should, but not everyone is eligible to get the vaccines through us either.
Shannon?
That was part one of my question.
Oh.
The Amish and the Mennonite are a big issue in the past, so I'm glad you're still doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other question I had was emergency preparedness grant. It sounds like, did we get more money than that?
No, so last year, I think my grant, I had put enough in my work plan to receive, I think, $22,000. Then we got extra money due to COVID, so it went up to $28,000. And they're picky on what we can spend it on. And so it goes through the state of Iowa to someone and they can deny any claim, like, hey, we need this. And you have to show that it is for preparedness, not just shown just because. So
it went down to 13.
it did, but this, there's some counties that may only use $2,000. So we'll always be meeting. And if a county's like, hey, I only need $2,000 and you guys want to purchase this, that's $15,000, take some money from us. So it's not that we're stuck at $13,000. We can get more money. Again, all of our big purchases that have been eligible, we have purchased them over basically last year just because we had that large sum of money, but not everything is eligible through it. And they're picky.
They're very picky, and it's not consistent. And we can, when we turn in our budget and the work plan, if we turn in $20,000, they might say, towards the end of the year, oh, we do have enough for you to spend your full $20,000. But as of right now, we're only guaranteed $13,000.
I would look at it.
And so any updates that I do on our emergency plan, so I've created emergency plan for home health and then just public health in general. And I have a whole bunch of stuff in there. So updates obviously yearly, just because things change and new things have to be put in there. So all my time, all my training that I give, all that stuff goes back to, and any meetings that I have with these guys, the trainings I do, different locations throughout Iowa, is all put back into this emergency grant. So.
Is there any chance that the higher number of businesses of employees of the business around, during that COVID, they were letting their people go and come to the clinic there and, for flu shots, would it be worth setting up where there's,
For flu or for COVID?
I'm thinking for flu.
Yep, so I do go into businesses and get flu shots.
Oh, you do?
Yep, absolutely. I call businesses every year. I have a set group of business, probably 20.
We've really added a lot
Yes.
more in the last couple of years.
And those that aren't on the list, I still call them every year. Hey, you want us to come in? We run insurances. We have some businesses that do have insurance, but it's just part of their program that they choose to pay for it out of their pocket. So they're going to pay everyone for everyone to get their flu shot, regardless if they have insurance or not. So we do absolutely go out to businesses, and I go to nursing homes, and then each community, we hit here in the county and do like the drive-through access. So if there's a business you hear that wants it, I'm gonna follow us. We'd love to. I'd love to entertain that and get them on our list. So we do stay quite busy with that.
In the last couple of years, we started billing Blue Cross Blue Shield, which has brought in a lot more businesses who have that insurance. So it's just, yeah, we go there right on site and do it, and we can bill their insurance. Also offer cholesterol screenings, another option. We have some businesses that will do that while we're there at the same time. So.
And some I do have to accommodate. They have a night shift and a day shift. So, you know, I'll use Absolute up there. Yep. And I go in the morning for their day shift, and then we go back at 6 o'clock on a different day to meet their, get their second shift. And it's on a completely different day just because I have that rotating schedule. That's the same as Grain Millers. I go at different times as well, just because they have that 4 days on, 4 days off. So we try to hit everyone there. So we try to be accommodating as we can be too. So, and like I said, we go into schools, get the teachers, get the kids that are interested. Try to do as much outreach as we can. So, and then as far as like the Mennonite families, not only as far as flu, but they're just their normal vaccines. A lot of them don't have vehicles or access to that. So I do go to, I don't travel home to home, but I do go to those individuals that I have that good relationship with, and they bring their families to me, whether it's usually horse and buggy, and they all come in closer distance for them. And I have my vaccines there, and I give them their vaccines that way.
And I think when we started doing the drive-through when COVID started, I think that's made a huge difference. You know, it's just a lot easier. They don't even have to get out of the car. They're right there, fill out their paperwork, and you can get them in within, 5-10 minutes and they're out. So, and there's no appointment. So it's more convenient.
And we will be starting that up end of September here. So we'll start cleaning here in the next couple of weeks and using the shed again, kind of what we're thinking. And then anyone that can't make a drive-through, obviously, is always, we call us. We usually have a nurse, or I'm in the office, and we can give them one in the office right there too. So, any other questions or concerns with public health?
I do.
Yeah.
We must not have discussed it the other day, and I don't know where this come into my brain, but whooping cough. Is that something that's coming around, getting more prevalent?
You should be vaccinated as you were younger, so trust this. And that should cover that throughout your whole lifespan. So that is pertussis, and you are vaccinated when you're younger. I've not heard of any cases that is a reportable case. I've not heard of any cases here in Mitchell County of whooping cough. But if you're not vaccinated and don't follow that series, then yeah.
Okay, isn't that included with the tetanus shot nowadays?
Yep. Yes, yeah.
Okay, well then maybe there's,
Yeah, with the tetanus, I think you get it every 10
okay.
minutes.
I don't know why that come into my brain, but I'm sitting here thinking of whooping cough. I heard it somewhere. Anyway.
So it's in with your Tdap, so tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. And so that's just part of that. And it is required, so you get a series when you're up to the age of 5, you should have 5 doses when you hit that 5-year-old mark. And then you get one when you go into 7th grade. And then you should get one every 10 years after that, just to stay on top of it. And that's, the tetanus is going to cover you for a lot of other things as well too. So usually if you go into the doctor's office, they'll check that. I have a lot of people that'll call us, hey, I stepped on a nail, can you get me a tetanus? And it may be before that 10 years, which you need to get that if you're sitting on that close mark too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions?
Somebody's listening out there. What are your hours?
We are open 8 to 4. I do come in early for vaccines because it doesn't always help for people. They work during those time frames. So you'll see us going out a lot early in the morning, opening up clinics a lot earlier, and we're there a lot later than 4 as well too. So, hey, I have to work till 5. Can you accommodate me? Absolutely. So we just call and get that scheduled. It's usually not the same day, but usually can squeeze them in, and I just adjust my hours as it goes.
And you're on Facebook and you guys answer messages.
Yep, answer messages.
Very quick.
Yeah. And as far as the home health side, we always have a nurse on call. So you can call and press 1 and it goes to our on-call phone. So we always have a nurse that's available to talk to.
And we do flu clinics and those types of things on weekends as well, just to accommodate those. After hours, kids are in sports activities, those types of things till 5:30. When can they get in? We offer later times as well too. So we don't really have set hours. I'm kind of flexible. I work a lot of different hours. So
We try to see what clinics worked for people, and we seem like we when we do Saturdays, it seems like pretty busy. That way people don't have to get off work. And so we kind of, in the later times, we kind of change it up a little bit to see what works for people, so.
And that's not only flu, just any
Right.
other type of vaccines too. So they work till 5, they need 5:30. If they talk to me, I can usually accommodate something, so, yeah. Any other questions or concerns with public health? All right, thank you.
Just to go over some financial stuff overall. So for our FY22 financials, our revenues that came in for the whole year that ended June 30th, 1,010,763.59. So that's the revenue we brought in for the year. Expenses 1,089,732.23. As far as our health improvement fund, we did receive about $800 in donations from different memorials and different church groups that donated. We were able to purchase some health supplies for some people that aren't able to afford some health supplies, or I went and purchased some fans during these hot days, people that don't have air conditioning, and I'm able to give those to some people who are in need there. Cleaning supplies, you know, we have some patients that just cannot afford cleaning supplies and things like that. So it's nice to get those donations to help those kind of people. So we have that fund sitting there that can help with those things. So just for the month of July, so far we brought in about $70,000. That has come from home health visits from self-pay, VA, Medicaid, Medicare, and then some private insurance as well. So the emergency preparedness and immunization grant, like Jessa mentioned, we've gotten some money from them to help reimburse the public health activities that she just mentioned. We also have a grant that helps pay for some home health visits for those low-income elderly people who can afford to pay for some home health aid visits that come in. And then, of course, some self-pay immunizations that Jess has given. So as far as the census right now for home health, we're sitting at about 86. We've had about 23 referrals this month so far, about 16 admissions. I think it's been pretty steady. We've had a lot of short-term Medicare people, which is kind of normal, that after maybe a hip surgery or a surgery to get in-home therapy, so they don't have to go into therapy and leave the home. We can come in there for a short time, and Medicare will usually pay for that. We have some upcoming trainings to freshen up for the nurses on some wound care and home infusion. So we do that in the home. So we're just doing some refresher training on that. We have some companies coming in for free to help us do some more refresher training. I just started working on the annual report for FY22. So I should be, hopefully the next time we come here, I'll be able to give that to you, and that kind of goes over all the financial stuff, how many visits we've done, gone over the public health activities that were done as well throughout the whole fiscal year for 22. So Jess already went over the Heartland and the fair. Just to put out there too, the Text My Gov will also be promoting there. Did you get posters by any chance? You did?
Well, I did get posters. I got the like the PDF.
Okay, perfect. Would you be able to forward that to me? And so we're going to promote that. Jess had mentioned that we're going to give a giveaway for the weather radio. So we figured if people sign up for that, and I don't know if you've gone over the Text My Gov for people on what that is. Have you guys kind of gone over that?
We haven't here, no.
Okay, so the Text My Gov, it's more of the kind of like the WENS, but this is more the non-emergency notification system to the county. So we're really going to promote that down at the county fair. We'll also do it down at Heartland Power to sign up to get reminds or notifications. We can push out our flu vaccine clinics out to the whole county, or any home health, public health, or any other county department can push that out.
Property taxes.
Property taxes are due. That's a perfect one. Yep, voting hours. I think it'll be a great resource for the county to sign up for that. So we're really going to push that and promote that at the county fair and at Heartland. So if they sign up for that, we'll put them in for the drawing for the weather radio. So you guys will have to come down and see us. The booth will be set up through the whole fair. We'll for sure be there giving the free blood pressure clinics. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you guys will have to stop down and say hi and get some information from us. So, did you guys have any questions, any more questions for us?
Not at this time.
Apparently not.
Just wanted to hear all the information that you do.
Well, thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Thank you for keeping the.
You do a better job than I will.
Did I miss anything?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
I won't have to say anything.
Okay, well,
Thank you,
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, got item 8, approve resolution to create fund for opioid settlement.
So last week you guys had talked about the opioid money, just keeping it in a fund. Spoke with some auditors in our district and they have basically created a resolution. I know we've done it in the past for that, so it's just stating that we will create a fund. It'll be Fund 10030. It'll be labeled LG Abatement Fund, and so expense and revenues will just be tracked through that fund.
What number did you say, Rachel, for the resolution?
10030.
Okay.
I do have a
Oh, the fund. Okay, I thought the resolution number. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Yep.
I do have a question on that. So if they, so we're gonna be talking about the FCSAC, but so any expenses and things like that can be taken out. What about like staff time or anything like that? Is it just any expenses, supplies or anything?
I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, I just,
I don't know what
my,
things are attached to it yet.
Okay.
yeah, my goal was to establish the funds and that email from like Gary Johnson, I can go create all those line items, get all that set up, and then of course we have to create anything later too, but just have it all set up for whenever we're gonna use it.
Wasn't there something on there for like education on Narcan and stuff like that? So I have resources and I plan on getting an actual certificate to be able to give those classes of Narcan too. So I would think that if I were to have a community event of anybody come learn how to use Narcan, that would be reimbursable to provide that education
I would think
to
so.
those individuals.
Yeah.
That opioid related is what
Yeah,
the webinar
I
said,
would think it would be,
but that's pretty wide.
I think it'd qualify, and then, yeah.
It's hard to justify, what they're
Yes.
really looking
Yeah.
for when you send that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion and a second to approve this resolution to create a fund.
Move to approve resolution 1140-22.
Jim's made a resolution to approve resolution 1140-22. We have a second?
Second.
Second that. Any further discussion on this?
Just, I know not all entities are here, but you guys were all still gonna get with like the hospital and
So I'll be in that meeting tonight. Shelley's a partner with MCSAC as well too, to the hospital, and then Megan is gonna be on that call. Ashley's on, I think. So they'll be on that call tonight just to discuss it.
yeah,
Jim, I believe, is coming just to explain it a little bit more. And then we are working on other things as well in that meeting, but we'll be able to collaborate from there of what things we can offer and have them give us more ideas. And then we can come back to you guys next week even and just discuss what we talked about and the different ideas. And then how we want the process to work too, I guess,
okay.
going forward.
Shannon,
Just, in the past, when there's a separate fund, the previous treasurers have opened an account connected to that fund. We've been advised by the state auditor not to do that. We have like 25 bank accounts. So since I know this is probably, it's gonna be a short-term fund because we're not gonna have ongoing funds from it, it was just from the settlement.
Well, it's gonna be over 17 years.
I propose not to do it. We'll have a fund on the computer, but I'm not gonna open a separate bank account for it because it's not a ton of money. We can track it within ourselves, but I don't. The auditor really doesn't like it because she has to audit every one of those accounts. And most counties don't have 25 bank accounts. So I just, so you guys know, there won't be a separate bank account for this, but it will be tracked on solutions within the county system.
Whatever works best for everybody.
As long as we keep the auditor happy.
State
Not
auditor.
me.
State auditor, not Rachel, the state auditor.
I was just about to say treasurer.
All right, roll call. Todd?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 9, discussion and possible action on tax abatement for the city of Osage property.
This is a property at 1103 Mechanic that the city the city negotiated with the owner. There's no taxes due on this property because it's already gone to tax sale twice. There's tax certificates. I sent the information to Aaron that there is a code citation that, in speaking to my other treasurers, the only way that I can write off a tax certificate is we have to have a court order. Because we had an investor that has paid the taxes. 2 years ago, we didn't have the tax sale in 2020. So in 2021, we had an investor that paid off 2 years worth of taxes and 2 special assessment payments, and they hold a tax certificate. This June, we had a different investor that paid off last year's taxes and the special assessment for the street. So we have 2 investors that hold $3,600 is what the payoff amount is. They have to have a court order. I would have to go in and back it all out, change it all. Then we would do negative treasurer orders because the city already got all that special assessment money. They already got their tax money in July of 21 and July of 22. They got treasurer's orders, they got the money. So essentially, if we backed it out, we would have to take the money away from the city, which is about $1,800. The county is like $300, and the schools is about the same as the city. So there's nothing for you to abate.
So why would I'm not trying to push, go through, I'm just asking a question. Why would the city want to have us abate taxes on something that there's no taxes due?
I don't think they want to pay that. They would have to pay off the tax certificates now. For $600. Then you guys can't abate it legally, it has to be a court order. The only thing you could, I talked to Rachel this morning, you could say that you will abate taxes that become due, like next year's taxes. I know it's the city's ownership, but I'm not sure how if they filled out all the paperwork to have the 2022, 2023 taxes abated. You could definitely do that. But the last 3 years, there's no taxes to collect because they've been paid by an investor. So I would propose, well, you guys cannot, the board cannot abate them, they can abate the upcoming taxes, but the city could just pay off those tax certificates and consider it a rebate in a way, because they're actually giving money back to themselves. Because if they go to the court systems and they do win, which I don't know if they meet all the criteria to have them court ordered not to be paid, they're going to lose money on the tax or treasurer orders the next month anyway. So it's going to be a lot of work if they just do it, and they could add that money to the cost of the lot when they sell it. It's going to be about $2,000 net because they would lose over $1,700. County would lose like $300, and the schools would lose about $750, and the rest would be out of other entities. So the city is going to be the one that's going to, if they have it written off, then we're going to take the money back from them anyway.
Okay.
So it would be pretty much a wash. It'd be $3,600 to pay off tax certificate. If they would lose $1,700, they could theoretically say they've already got that, so add $2,000 to the purchase of the lot or sell of the lot price, and they would recoup that, but they're not going to have. I just don't know how much work it would be talking to Pat Wright in Cerro County that's done it. She said it was a nightmare, and that was one tax certificate, and we have 2.
Sounds like we don't want to do nothing.
We can't abate. You can say you'll abate any future taxes,
But we'll wait for that.
but they could come back, yeah. But that would be the only thing that you guys could abate, because the rest would be a court order thing.
Okay.
Is there a time limit on it for the future, you say? I mean, what happens
If that tax certificate is held, the first one is held to June 2023, then that person has a right to, they have to notify people to either pay off the tax certificate, which will be the city, and anyone, neighbors all get notified. If the city doesn't pay them then the person will win the tax certificate and take the property to quitclaim deed, because they do have an interest in the property. And they pay, and the investors are earning 2% interest a month. So it adds up.
Apparently, if they paid the past taxes, they'll pay the future taxes. The new owners, investors.
The new
The
investors, they will, so that they will pay, but then they still have the tax certificate, and then the city would still be in the same situation where it's just gonna add more cost to them to pay off.
Okay. Great.
And I think you're gonna send everything to Brian, so he knows what other counties have said to do. I know I talked to Brian about the code citation, he didn't think they met it, so I would think best practice would be paid off and considered a rebate and future recruitment.
I'm gonna tell them what you said. I mean,
Rebate and future recruitment.
because the way you explained it, like I said, the first time I read that, I read past a bunch of stuff. If I'm in a hurry, sometimes I read the first couple sentences and the last. And then in there, Brian had the part about the tax sales. If I'd have seen that at the beginning, probably would have changed anything I'd ever said. And not that I agreed with anything McPhail said, but I told him, I said, you know, like people do, oh, I'll pass this on to somebody else, right? Because I'm thinking, it's not my decision anyway, and I don't want to spend time on it, so here, maybe set it for the agenda. Well,
I read the agenda.
if I read that closer,
Right.
I probably would have saved everyone and said, gee, Brian, because I don't, Shannon has more expertise than I do, but by going back and rereading it, I would have said, how's this going to work? You already got the tax sales certificates on it. And like you said, I guess you could get, but, and I don't understand the ins and outs like you do, but I can only imagine the nightmare it would be if you did get a court. And it's like, oh man, now we got to go and undo all this.
We have to undo 3 years worth of tax and then take it away from the entities that got it. Which
Well, that's
the majority of the loser is going to be the city because they have 3 special assessment payments and property tax.
So yeah, I'll tell McPhail. I'll give him what your explanation to me. Tell him, here, Brian, if I were you, I'd just pay him.
Over half of what they write off would come back out of the city coffers anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Number 10, items of note, meetings attended.
Okay. So I had a North Iowa Juvenile Detention meeting. Everything got approved. They want to purchase a new van. The one they have has 290,000 miles on it. Runs good, but it's a rust bucket. So they're going to just keep it as a spare, keep it driving around town. And then they're going to try for a new vehicle. The detention report, they continue to have double digits within detention. They've had a lot of challenging and manipulative behaviors. The kids, the youth that are in there, they've had to call the sheriff in a number of times. Sounds like that's happening in all detention centers. It's not just to this place. The GPS units, they've had a total of 619 units or GPS units on youth in the last 3 months. And they say that a lot of times a new individual that gets a GPS unit placed on them violates rather quickly. It doesn't, then they end up going back to another facility. Their crisis stabilization center, there again, they've had a number of incidents within it, but they've been able to deal with it. The mental health area, just sounds like this is a real rough place to a lot of people with a lot of issues. And it's just tough. Same thing, a lot of aggressive behavior. They're opening a brownstone unit, which is going to be longer stays for the juveniles. That's not open yet, but they're hoping to open that up at the first of the year. They're looking at other youth shelters and places to get ideas as far as the best processes and services to offer these youth in that facility. Looking up for some grant ideas to help pay for different types of things. Also going to the North Iowa Food Bank to try to help with some of the food that would be going to the facility to for cost savings. So that's that. And again, I went to public health just to invite them here, just sat in on that meeting. And then yesterday I went to the Stacyville urban renewal area amendment consultation just to see if there was any problems with what Stacyville's proposing for their urban renewal area. And nobody had any problems with Stacyville amending their urban renewal area. There'll be a public hearing about that though also in the future. So that's all I had.
Okay, I had Mitchell County Board of Health. And all I have to do is say I was been there because Laura and Jess had described the meeting, so I'll let it go at that.
I went to a Central Juvenile Detention Center meeting in Eldora and financial report, they're adding on to their building. They're expected to be open this fall sometime. And the one thing that they highlighted on is the state reimbursement for juveniles is being cut by 50%. So then for the counties, they'll have to make up the difference. Currently, Mitchell County has nobody at Eldora. I don't know.
I think that's, yeah, I can't think of anybody, I guess. But
Yeah, there was none on the census, but so they're trying to get the legislatures to change that. I don't know. I don't know. Did they say anything of?
They may have mentioned that. They don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was their one of their main topics is trying to, well, it's going to cost counties a lot more money to house people at this point. And they have a lot of trouble with bad kids, basically. That's why they're putting their addition on, just because of the, they say there's these kids that no matter what you do, no matter, they're going to end up in prison. There's nothing, like counseling, they try everything, but they have to have a special place for them just because they're so dangerous at this point. So that and the transgenders have to have a place too. So
it's a very challenging place to work.
It does.
Turnover, at least this place.
Yeah, they have a number of employees.
Yeah.
there, and this place is just, I mean,
He said a lot of people who get the jobs at these places that don't really realize what they're getting into.
Had a number of new employees too that they hire. It's a constant turnover, so
like being a prison guard.
yeah.
I think some people take those jobs thinking, because they're like counselors, right? They're called counselors, and some of them have like a social work background, so maybe they think, wow, I'm gonna be, kind of like a treatment counselor with drugs and alcohol and mental health, and I'm gonna really be helping kids get on the right path. And there is some of that, allegedly. I don't know. But anyway, a lot of it is, you're a prison guard. If you're hired to be a prison guard, you're saying, okay, get in the yard, keep order.
Yeah.
I would think after a while, you being an employee, whether you be someone who's overseeing or taking care of these people, you would be complacent. After a while, they would all become the same and you would treat them the same. And they all have their different stories and their different issues and demons.
I mean, they have a list of everybody that's in there, not their names, but what they're in for. I mean, there's attempted murders, there's everything, There's a lot of bad stuff. I'm from Mitchell County though, so that's good. I'm on the list.
And that's really difficult for an individual that wants a job, like what Aaron said, thinks that they're going to go there to help with the situation. But you're helping with situations where people that have done stuff like that, attempted murder, that's a different level of care. I mean, that's
Well, after you had been around so many of those people, you would treat everybody the same, whether it's somebody that, has a minor infraction that's in there, you would, it's tough to be in that position as an employee there.
Did they get into the GPS collars at Eldora at all, or?
I don't think,
Because I mean, they utilized that here, and then in the second judicial with felons, they use that
once they're in.
also, yeah.
Once they let them out.
And, I just wonder if that is a trend that's maybe gonna be happening more and more where, we're just gonna be able to monitor
Okay.
people out and about rather than having everybody incarcerated.
I noticed a lot of the minor cases, the places are staying full, so it's, unless you did something pretty bad, you're not gonna end up there because there's no room for it, So, yeah, that's right. I know you probably see it,
Yeah, it's be a little disheartening, but you'd be thankful for your own families and your own kids. Kids pose their own problems, Like I always tell my kids, man, be thankful for your nice, boring life you had growing up. You know what I mean?
And I know they made the comment, not this meeting, but the one before, the problem kids, as soon as they're in there, they've done there something really bad, their parents are bringing them in pop and candy, and, you can tell they've been spoiled their whole life, and they're one of the ones that are in trouble, big trouble,
That's what makes Mitchell County so good.
Yeah.
They have it's a rural lifestyle. It may be archaic to city kids, but our lifestyle is different here. You have different ideas, you do different things here in a rural setting.
Yeah, Floyd County, I get, somehow I got on the, I got put on the mailing list, so I get notified of other counties' juvenile court days, which I must have just got added on there somehow. I always get Mitchell, but not every county attorneys don't get notice of everybody else's court schedule, in other counties. But for some reason, I'm on the list, and I just kind of keep it that way because I'm always interested in it. And get like Floyd County's list, and it's just, always just
A long list.
so Roberto, of course, you can imagine. Floyd County surprises me it doesn't, I guess, but it kind of does because it seems like for their size, and it's like, wow, man. Yeah, it's, I don't know how they keep up.
What county?
I think their criminal docket, adult docket's big, juvenile docket's big.
They have 81 days of kids down there last month. Yeah.
They do a good job down there, though. I'm not knocking Floyd. They do an excellent job down there, the county attorney's office. They do an excellent job. It's just I look at that list sometimes and I'm thinking, wow, man, this is a lot.
Okay.
I had nothing.
I had an economic development meeting. Our new director was there, gave a report. Our assistant director, she gave a report. They're glad to be together. It's a lot of work for one that, so the assistant director is taking director to I think they've been downtown Osage, Stacyville. I think they got a date lined up to go to St. Ansgar, meet businesses and the partners that we have, the banks and stuff like that. So they're pretty happy about working together. And assistant director talked about grant applications, and so all is well. That's it.
Okay, and B, public comments. I had a public comment on the last tear down that we approved. The applicant didn't own the property. That's one of the requirements. And I mentioned it to
Yeah, and
development, so I don't know what become of
so
that.
I talked about that last night. It's in the county supervisor. We both had approved it. The gentleman, basically, he's got a proof of purchase signed by the city mayor.
Purchase agreement.
Correct. And I guess putting Aaron on the line, is a purchase agreement signed, property, a legal document.
It has to go to a public hearing yet in August.
Well, I think, Mike brought it up before, so I'm coming in on this a little bit cold, but and my understanding is in order for the person on the property has to go through a public hearing, right?
Correct. That's the way I understood it.
So kind of real property law is kind of archaic and confusing, and most of it's about 1,000 years old, because it carries over from England and everything. But anyway, long and short of it is, so, if I enter into a contract with any, some person out there to buy their house, it's signed and everything like that, I would probably have what's called a beneficial interest or an equitable interest. And the owner would still hold legal title, which would be similar, kind of like a bank who holds a mortgage, although it is different. The bank's not an owner, but the seller is still an owner, but they only hold bare legal title, which is basically security for if the agreement doesn't go through. So the buyer, in the instance I'm describing, has equitable or beneficial title. So and they have an interest. They have an ownership interest. But whether they're the owner for the purpose of this program, I'd have to look and see how that's defined. And in this case, it's complicated more by the fact that I don't know whether he has a beneficial interest yet, if it hasn't been approved. Right?
Yeah.
Well, let's just go this route. So I talked to Lynn Heeman. If it stands, he's gonna have late fall, beginning next year, he's gonna put up a duplex. Get rid of the place that's a blighted and derelict house. That'll be gone, and there'll be a duplex put there. That was what the program was meant to do. Okay, if you guys want to rescind it and not approve it, then he's still going to get the house. The city is, August 1st, he's going to get the house. He's going to sit on it until, if we bring this program back, or like we said a few weeks ago, maybe take it case by case, and he'll apply, and either we'll approve the application for to demolish it, and he'll build that duplex. But until then, it's going to sit there like it is. He owns the property. He's going to own the property.
He's going to. Yes.
So if we want to prolong this, and if you go to the application, I have the what we came up with. He applied for this, and we approved. Economic Development approved it. We approved it. That's when the 2 years started. Okay, so his 2 years has already started. So if perhaps we bring it back and we don't approve it, then he's gonna wait until, because we've already talked about maybe approving, and like Rachel said, she asked maybe it'd be easier for her end if we put 10, 20, 30,000 in the account, so we didn't have to go and amend the budget and on case by case. So however we would do that. And he said, yes, he knew they were getting down there. We had like, I think 8 or 9. His was like 8th one or something like that. So he knew the money or the program was going to be coming to an end. So yeah, he applied for it. But we also have to remember when we approved it, that's when his 2 years started. So that's up to you guys, how you, I mean, if we want to bring it back and not approve it, he's still going to purchase the property and he's going to put a duplex there.
When's the public hearing?
August
1st.
August 1st. So that's when it's decided that he owns the property. That's when it's decided.
Yes.
All right. So if for some reason at the public hearing that it does not go through, that he doesn't own the property, and then after that time, we could rescind what we said we were going to do. Because he hasn't tore it down yet. I mean, is he tearing it down before August?
No, he can't tear it down.
So, agreed. So if for some reason he doesn't end up owning this house, then we vote him after that.
It's just brought to my attention that he didn't meet the protocol because he didn't own the property. He had no ownership deed. He had no,
Was there a planned development agreement in place? I mean, I don't know if there was or not.
In the agreement, I guess, when you read it, it said you must own the property. So you failed to meet that part, so it should have never, I know that it came through us pretty fast too, you know.
Okay.
That's where we didn't get a chance really to look at it. And we just approved it because they approved it, but
Our next meeting is the 2nd. The public hearing is on the 1st.
Yeah.
There's no action that we can take today in regards to it at all. So
No.
if anything, we have to wait till next Tuesday to make a decision.
it's just brought to my attention that it wasn't done properly, you know,
Okay.
which it wasn't.
And I will dispute that.
Yeah,
I
I
will
mean,
dispute.
I don't really want to be a part of stuff that isn't done right. I want to say that too.
My only comment was Tracy just started, so it's not her fault, but
No.
we brought it up before that. We were supposed to get that before our meeting, so we had a chance to look at it. Not that we would have caught it then, but she just brought it to us and did the pass around thing, and glanced at it.
Yeah.
And she's just started, so can't put it on her that she didn't know the routine. And another thing is, I know one person that applied for this probably isn't gonna do Terrace House down because the way the lumber prices are now. So he's probably gonna back out because he doesn't want to start it and they're not going to build in 2 years and he's not gonna get it done in 2 years. So I know there's one that's not gonna get done. Whether there's more of that, I don't know.
Do you know, Rachel, how many claims have been paid out to this?
One.
One. So
And it was
there's-
they just turned one in.
so there's
But
one
it was
sitting
in
out
this
there.
session.
And that there again, you know, I tried to explain to Mike when he called me the other day, but you know, we haven't paid anything out.
No, I know.
We have not paid anything out. We will not pay Lynn Heeman until whoever he hires comes to tear the place down and brings the bills in. It isn't like he applied, we approved, and we wrote him a $10,000 check. There's been no money given out. And like with Mark, if this one comes in and tears the application up, I mean, the money's still there.
Right.
So
it's just that
we'll
it
just
wasn't
add
done
that.
according to the rules is what
Well,
was brought to my attention.
you're probably exactly right, but without this being a public hearing in the paper, my guess is he's not the only one that applied, made sure that he was gonna get the money or she, and then went and bought the property.
I think all the other ones had either a tax statement or whatever it was, is what she told me. She double checked to make sure all the other ones were legitimate, and they were. So just to make sure they all had ownership. So economic development, she told me, well, I knew nothing about this till brought to my attention. So there's people watching, whatever.
Yeah. And I get it. I know you have to do what, you know, you
Yeah, that's the
call
only
you
issue. It
and
wasn't done according to
But
the plan.
you would have maybe called Lynn and talked to him about it. Cause I mean,
Well,
I'm still a guy, I still like the handshake and the look in the
well,
eye
yeah,
and say,
just-
he's
that's
built
why-
over 40
that's why I
houses
talked
in
to them
Mitchell
when I
County.
talked to you, because you're on that board.
So, but yeah, it's up to you guys what you want to do.
I can't do anything today.
No.
Correct, but I mean,
Yep.
information, I'm just saying if it's back on the agenda next Tuesday and it's gonna be August 1st, I surely
Well,
would
what do
think
you guys
we
feel should be
consider,
done? I don't know.
yeah, that we consider that, so.
What do you feel should be done? I don't know. I'm just,
I'm gonna say if he owns the house August 1st.
wait till after the fact and then see.
Yeah, well, we can't.
We
do
can't do
anything.
anything anyway.
No, I know. No, I know.
August 1st will come before our next meeting. So unless you want to bring a special meeting and
No,
put it
I
on,
don't.
okay.
No, I just, you know, like I said, I had a complaint and I got to bring it up because it's my job. I'm just doing my job. I'm just following up with.
Thank you for
what-
bringing that problem to our attention.
Yeah, with what we're supposed to do, so. Anyway, any other public comments? Hearing none, get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Made motion in the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.